Hey everyone, Greg and Chris. We are back with another podcast episode. We are going to be talking about our adventure at the Midlothian Coalmines during the Eclipse. We wanted to kind of go more in depth for our little adventure down there and just talk more about kind of what we went through and share some funny stories and also some crazy stories as well. It was kind of one to remember.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun. You had fun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was very, very amped up there. I think that a lot of the energy we haven't been able to feel yet, especially as far as how ramped up and as quick as it was for us.
Yeah.
Even not filming, I feel like we had a lot of stuff coming to us.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that first couple times we went when we were like super young, as far as how much ramped upness it was or energy we experienced.
Yeah, I mean, we've been there before. That's where we shot our first video, which, you guys have, I'm pretty sure, seen. If you have not, we'll put it down in the bottom comment section or description so you can go, take a look at it. Also, the video that we did just go shoot. I noticed, being younger, we definitely had some crazy stuff happen. The last time we were there, the most recent trip, it had a lot of stuff going on, but it wasn't as energetic as it was this time. Yeah, I don't know if they definitely did some different stuff since last time we were there.
Yeah, well, that and previous times it probably took longer for some stuff to happen too, I think. This was almost like,
Yeah, it's kind of
almost right there.
right out of the gate. We were kind of walking up to our normal area, and we noticed that there was kind of almost a change in the air. It just felt like a lot of stuff was going to be happening that night, and we already told ourselves, like, hey, get ready. We're probably going to capture some weird stuff. And, I think the first thing that we found was walking up where we usually go to, across the water. There's a little, like, patio section, and we saw a light, kind of like a lantern flicker almost. And we heard, it was like, what, 2 or 3 people?
Yeah, it sounded like a group of people talking, yeah.
Yeah, and it sounded like they were having a conversation and laughing, and it sounded like people were over there.
Yeah, it wasn't negative as far as like sounding like an argument or anything like that. It just sounded like people hanging out.
Like friends. And, we were like, are people already over there? Like, are we going to run into people? Because usually we don't. And we prepared ourselves, walked down the trail, went over there, and all of a sudden there was nobody there. There was no
Nothing at all.
light,
Nothing at all.
no conversation, no nothing.
And that was a weird thing, right? So, like, we agreed after leaving, before we really reviewed anything, that we were like, wasn't that like the same kind of light we saw at Hollywood Cemetery? Campfire style lantern, old fashioned timey style lantern, like an oil lamp almost.
Yeah. That was a time we weren't able to film when we went to Hollywood. I don't know if we've actually ever talked about that, but there was a time we were there and there was a lantern as we were leaving that was turned on. But this one was weird because it was like we didn't hear anybody talking to each other.
No.
At Hollywood.
Yeah.
But this time it sounded like 2 or 3 people chit-chatting with each other. So walking up to it, we were expecting to find people. We didn't find anybody. So that was our first thing that we got to kind of witness. The second thing, we usually do like a small little prayer before we go in, protect ourselves and all that kind of stuff. And it's like right off the bat, like right after that, him and I start walking up and we literally see like a shadow figure kind of walk by, and I stopped. I didn't even have the camera on, I don't think.
No, not right away.
And him and I both were like, "Did you see that?" to each other, and I was like,
So it actually happened
wild.
right when we both stopped, and you were like, "Hey, can you get the book bag? Let's pull the camera out and start."
"Oh
And
yeah,
that's
no."
when we were like,
Once I saw that walk across, I pulled the camera out, and I was like, "I wonder what else I could pick up." And what's funny is, excuse me, being there and starting to film, I didn't see it go back across because I was kind of looking at the camera. I wasn't really paying attention up. And post-editing, I don't know what it was, but I saw something move back. And I was like, hang on. And I like zoomed in, slowed it down, and then all of a sudden you just see this like figure almost appear out of like midair.
yeah.
And then it's like this speck of dust, which I thought it was dust at first, but it caught my eye the way it moved forward towards and past us. And it came from whatever figure that was. So it was almost like a murmur that walked by, and then a orb kind of flew out towards the camera and then went past it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say there was 2 times where you see it, and one thing leaves the camera, goes out to it, and it gets illuminated brighter. And then the one towards the end, when it like goes back to the left from the right, that's when the one comes out of it and back towards the camera again.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw like a lot of dust. There was bugs. There's a lot of stuff. So I was trying to like filter kind of what was through it. But I mean, honestly, that's the first time we actually got to capture a figure on camera, which is pretty wild. I got super excited. I was like, holy crap, we finally got one. And
well, see, that's the weirdest part, right? So like, you had the night vision lights on it right away. It wasn't a humid, sticky night. It was kind of like fair temperature between 55 and 62. Wasn't rainy. So there was bugs because you're in a park at nighttime, but isn't like normal. You know what I mean?
Well, being near water and stuff, I feel like that's probably why all that stuff floating around. But usually we don't ever film in that area,
right?
Which is wild to me. So like we don't start our investigation usually until we like really get in there,
get to the structures.
This was outside before we even got in there, which is wild to us.
Granted, we've seen stuff out there before though.
Yeah, spiritually.
Usually it's on the opposite side of the water. Like as you look off to the left of the water on the far left side, where they were constructing like an old timey. It was like a giant building forklift, and they used it to move coal crates. They rebuilt one of those, put lights on the outside of it, and to the left of that is where we would see stuff. Because there's still like a hill dug out, and a portion of the trail comes around the back side around and loops back around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, getting to the beginning of it, after we kind of saw that, we stopped and chit-chatted with each other a little bit about what we saw. And I remember, we were like, hey, let's get a shot of the tunnel. And I was trying to do some extra editorial stuff, trying new things, which worked out for the video, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It's like a show style.
Yeah, which, I mean, we try not to do it, but so much, we don't, we're there for the evidence more than we are the editorial show, I guess you could say. But getting past that, we got on the trail at the beginning of it. The whole entire time we were like, man, it's going to be a wild night. Like we could just anticipate stuff happening. Cause I mean, we were hearing everything from different animals to voices to whatever. And, the first bridge, when we got to it, there was like a water that flows underneath it. In the first video that we captured what sounded like murmuring over the water, like demonic murmuring, almost, like a chant kind of. And like I really had to dig in to listen to that.
Yeah.
But what was wild about this night is like before we even got to the bridge, it was like you could hear it right away. You didn't even need equipment.
Yeah, like the
off the bat.
The EVP phenomenon there was like much louder than what we experienced previously.
Before, yeah.
All times previously, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
most of the time you had to do some digging in like an audio app or do a replay and turn the volume almost to max to be able to hear something. And this was
yeah. I mean,
right
we definitely got some different answers than last time. I mean, last time we went, we actually got some proof and answers to an explosion that happened, and we got a name out of it, which we put in the video and everything. So if you want to check it out, of course, go back. But this time, we were just trying to see kind of what we could capture with the Eclipse energy, and it definitely was worth it because not only did we get a bunch of answers. Again, my name got called, which seems to be happening.
Your name was a big one. And
every freaking investigation that we do, somehow either my last name or first name gets called.
Like a major EVP said the word or phrase purgatory. That was a big one.
Oh, well, yeah, we were gonna get to that one. But yeah, that definitely was said.
And then in the video on YouTube right now is that noise. It kind of sounds like like a big cat, like a zoo cat, like a tiger or a lion, like a predator feline making its noise.
Like a bobcat almost.
Yeah. Like the noise it makes when it's on a hunt and it's circling whatever it's going after.
Let's go with the first portion. So we start up the spirit box. We basically, I think you were holding it first at the building. And so as we're going through it, my name gets called as one of the answers. We hear quite a bunch of different voices coming through it. Some not so nice.
No.
We had to put up a warning in the video, a trigger warning, because there was something that told the audience or us or whatever to go kill ourselves, basically.
Yeah.
So that first time I had to put a trigger warning in the video. So that was new, which was, I didn't even hear it while we were there. Of course, most of the stuff we heard was when I was
After the
editing.
fact, yeah.
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 Because
Except for the animal noise.
Yeah.
That was like in our ears there, loud, and then it was on there.
But the voices, sometimes you can hear them right off the bat, and then sometimes they're kind of tucked away. I don't know if it's like between the radio signals or what. But that voice came out, and I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Come again?" I had my headphones on, and I had to go back, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's not nice." And we decided to try something new this time. We left a couple pieces of equipment. We had a body camera. We let down
digital voice
recorder, and then we had a REM pod. Now, I stupidly made a mistake of putting the REM pod near the fence, and I knew it was going to be a dumbass idea before I did it. And I still was like, let's try it anyway, see what happens. Because we always hear stuff walking through. And, what's crazy is going over what we captured. While we were away, we walked away from the building, went down the trail basically, but we heard basically what sounded like footsteps walking and crunching through the leaves. REM pod starts going off, and then we just hear every animal that we heard go off. We heard
like the dogs first, and then 3 hoots from an owl, or it could have been 2 or 3 owls all hooting.
I don't know if that was a dog. I don't know what that was. It didn't sound like a dog.
Yeah, but then that dog noise was like,
it was more than a bark.
Almost like a child crying out.
I mean, it's
they go ooh, ooh.
I mean, we heard that. We heard an owl. We heard what sounded like a dog getting ripped apart with a bark. We heard a bunch of different stuff, and then you heard what sounded like a bobcat screeching.
Yeah.
But it was like that would randomly pop up, and then you heard everything else in between, which is weird to me. Is that bobcat screech that we caught? I swear that I've heard that, or we've caught that at a different investigation. So I don't know if it's like, I have a theory that it might be something mimicking something, or we have a freaking bobcat following us. I don't know. But I feel like I've heard that sound before.
I mean, yeah, so there is bobcats in Virginia, right? There's that. Right. But like the area that we were in is so suburbanized. Let's face it, it's an open park amongst a well-to-do, mid-sized to medium-large homes in a neighborhood.
It's still some thick-ass woods, though.
Yeah.
That's not like a little tiny strip of
but
woods.
Like you're almost in area. The space between their backyard and their neighbor's backyard when you look at it, where both porches are facing each other, and one neighbor can stand on the porch and wave at the other neighbor on his porch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one street, but I'm talking from end to end. That's like 3 or 4 blocks.
Oh no, I'm just saying there's enough people around to where the bobcat wouldn't feel like it's its territory and it wants to have its nest right then and there. You know what I mean?
I don't know. We're not a National Geographic person. We can't sit here and say bobcat this, bobcat that.
True.
But it sounded like a bobcat. We might have a bobcat following us, or we might just have a spirit that sounds like a bobcat following us. I don't know.
And now you got me thinking of what other investigation did I hear that similar noise on? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to replay other stuff in my head.
I can't remember. But I'll have to go back and maybe look at some stuff.
That tells me, though, that we need to find 1 or 2 experiments to use and get more comfortable with it. Like maybe make plans to go back again and make the whole visit be about us getting comfortable with an Estes method there. I go out and buy 2 nice camping chairs that fold, and we sit there and do an Estes method together.
We did say that we were gonna, in the beginning of the video, that we were gonna do an Estes method, and we actually ended up we didn't get time to do it. It was getting a little bit later than we wanted, and we were just like, all right, we'll do it next time. Excuse me. But after hearing that, which we definitely could, it was definitely wild hearing all those animal sounds. But
Yeah.
we kind of went down the trail a little bit, and as we were walking down, that's when we caught the footage of what sounded like a freaking dog getting ripped in half or screaming for its life or whatever it was.
Yeah, and it's in the video. It's a good
It didn't.
8 to 10 minutes long almost, right?
Well, yeah, we filmed for about 8 or 10 minutes, but I didn't do the whole 8 or 10. I think I made it like a couple minutes or something, just because I didn't want y'all sitting there staring at the woods like we were for
Yeah.
like 10 minutes. But
So it went on
It went
much
on for a
longer
while.
than it was what was put in the video. So
even when I
Let's
didn't
just say
film
that.
it, we kept walking and still kept going on.
it seemed like a good 20 minutes because it was
Yeah.
a good 20 minutes to go in the opposite direction while walking. So
But I mean, it. So he says that it's kind of close to houses to each other, but it's honestly probably like, I don't know, like a good
I would say 250 to 320 yards between each house.
way more than that.
But the park is in the center, so it's like a circle around
Yeah.
the park, and the circle is these houses going like
Yeah,
this.
but it's like
and you have the
it's-
houses here and the houses
It's
here.
got to be a good.
And we're right here. So
I don't know if they're gonna get the visuals all that, but yeah, it's a good like 500-600 yards in between. It's a very big space. Like if you do this and you can see the other guy through the woods, then you've got like Hawkeye vision.
well, a lot of those houses have those like floodlights that are motion sensitive.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I mean it's. We sat there and we tried to debunk it, and we're like, "Is that a dog? Is that
Yeah.
a dog screaming?
someone
And,
doing something in a shed.
I mean it. At the time we were there, nobody's awake. Most people are asleep and stuff. But the dog sounds that were coming out wasn't like a normal dog. Even when dogs fight or bark or whatever, you can kind of tell what the sound is. This sounded like a screech and sounded like skin was getting ripped apart.
Yeah, at the same time.
And it sounded like something mimicking the sound of a dog. So we were hella confused for a little while.
So essentially, you would almost say it would be two things. One thing making the tearing noise, the other thing making the I'm getting hurt noise from the tearing.
I don't know.
If I was guessing, but there's also supposedly Virginia has coyotes too. So
that one.
coyotes make strange
That
noises.
wasn't no damn coyote.
Supposedly they make like a cooing child, a crying child noise, and
Yeah, but the sounds that we were hearing was not a cry. It was like a scream, like I said, like it was getting torn apart.
yeah, visceral noises.
Yeah, and so that freaked us out for a little bit, but we moved on. And we got to the steam house, and we tried to kind of set up another spirit box session. This time I held it, he filmed, and we got some weird answers out of that one. I think the weirdest, again, we'll go back to the purgatory answer. Now, a lot of people believe purgatory, and a lot of people don't believe purgatory. So purgatory is supposed to be, between heaven and hell. Basically, as some people describe it, as a spirit is supposed to be stuck in that plane of existence. So they're just kind of trapped there, wandering around. How we grew up in Christianity, they don't believe in purgatory. Either you go to heaven or you go to hell. That's what they believe in. There's no wandering lost soul walking around. Now, doing this and over the years seeing stuff, Chris and I have kind of seen things we can't explain that is not answered by how we grew up. And so we always kind of wondered, is there something else out there as far as heaven and hell? Are we on purgatory? Is earth purgatory? Whatever. And we kind of asked, what was it? Like, hey, do you know where you're at? Or do you know you're dead? Or whatever. Or like, where are you at? Something along those lines. And we had a voice come out and say purgatory. Now, when I heard it, I was like, holy shit. I was like, wait, what?
Right.
And that kind of,
I mean,
was shocked by it.
to talk like that, because the paranormal field can be very subjective to anyone's beliefs.
So many different
and
opinions out there.
open to everyone's interpretation. And then for me, it's just like I've witnessed the two out of my entire lifetime. The paranormal situation, starting when I was 6, obviously up until now, would be demons, and then the second part would like raise a question more than a statement. So it'd be like, do we as humans leave remnants or pieces of our energy or soul, as you will, behind. Those are the two things I've witnessed. So like that remnant being left behind is like the repeat of something constantly being played over and over again in a part of a home or a building where they spent most of their time in. Whether they loved that time or hated the time could be why the remnant is left behind. And then the rest of it would be a lot of the negative I've witnessed or seen or had happen to me. So that's where I'm at with it. And I want to say both of those things happened. So like you have the workers at the coal mines there, probably spent most of their time there. You have the workers that were slave workers, and then you had the workers that were like over them. So like management had to stay for long periods of time, or they felt like they were there every day. So having that feeling, because we go to work too, right? And we're there, and sometimes you feel like days run into each other.
Yeah, it's like
so they have that going on. So they could be leaving portions of themselves just through that interaction. And then the calamity that happened, the several cave-ins, the explosions, because there's more than a couple of everything. So
I mean, it's definitely like there's a lot that happened there. So like as he's saying, you had slaves, free slaves, you've had children die there, you've had Confederate soldiers die there, you've had, of course, the workers, you've had family members of certain people die there. Like a lot happened, a lot of trauma, a lot of turmoil.
Financial stuff too with the people that owned it too.
Yeah, I mean it got closed down like 2 or 3 different times or something like that. Yep. We do go more in depth with it before. We've had a podcast on it, and of course we had the first video and everything in our last video where we go kind of more in depth the first time. But there's a lot of stuff there that can create a lot of negativity, and what's wild to us too is there is some Native American stuff on that land as well. So you run into spirits of that, which the dog barking could be something with that, which I'm not, wanting to dive into right now, but that could be, something as well.
Yeah, it could be two things related to dog man and mimicking.
Yeah,
the mimicking could lead to something more negative we don't need to speak on. So
yeah, which one of the, which I don't know if I've said it before, but the one story when we were younger, we were there, basically revolved around myself, a mutual friend of ours, and I think he had like 2 or 3 people come along. Mm-hmm. They were trying to be like ghost adventurers, people from like Virginia Beach or something. I can't remember. But if I remember correctly, you guys were at the other end. We split up. So what we did is our friend, him and I, we were by ourselves on the first bridge that I was bringing up earlier. And they were all at the other end. And that's probably a good
200-300 yards.
Way more than that. Probably like
a 20-minute walk up the hill, basically.
I mean, it's like 600 yards. It's a long ways. Anyway, put a voice recorder on the tree that we did in the last video, which is why I actually put the voice recorder there this time. And as my friend and I were on the bridge, him and I were just talking, and then literally all my hair stood up. And I was like, it was like spider sense almost. I was like, something's about to happen. Like in my brain, I was thinking that. And literally the most guttural growl I've ever heard in my life. Like when you listen to heavy bass in a car, and you feel it in your chest, like the
reverb
it
effect.
Just like it felt like that in my entire body.
And it was low, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, it was like my whole body just did this, and all my hair stood up. I freaked out instantly, and it came from underneath the bridge. Loud growl, and I mean, it sounded like a freaking gorilla take off. And I mean, you heard run off, like galloping.
That was the thing, was at our end, you could hear the leaves moving.
Yeah,
it moved through.
So running down, you hear it take off, and I mean, I just kind of froze, and so as it ran off, we tried to contact you guys because you didn't hear your phone. So we get back eventually, and you guys see us coming. You say, "Hey, is that y'all?" Yeah, hey. We meet up at the tree, and I remember he was like kind of shaking a little bit.
Yeah, you didn't talk for a good 10 minutes first.
I was shaking up for a second, and so he played back the voice recorder. You hear it way off in the distance. Now it's grunting as it's running, so you're
and breathing through
as
with
it's running. It's kind of off in the distance, and as it's coming closer to the voice recorder, when it gets to the voice recorder, it stops. Now, if you know anything about audio and you mess with audio or whatever, edit, all that kind of stuff, you know that you have a trail off. So if you have it hit here, you're going to hear it go from loud to quiet after it passes. As soon as it hit, it was done. It was almost like it hit the voice recorder and it was off. Now, the area, it's like hills that go up with trees just caked in there.
Yeah.
So we tried to debunk. I even went in there a couple of days later in the morning time when the sun was out and everything and tried to like map out the ground because I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, because it sounded like it was coming towards it, but for it to do that, it would have to go up these hills facing where the tree is.
Yeah, I mean, the hills...
Up the trail, and then the trail has 2 more hills before you get to that tree you're talking about.
So it wasn't like flat ground.
No.
So I know it's not a normal animal just like running. So I didn't know what the hell Dogman was. But now that we've kind of heard about it and know about it, later on in the future, I'm like, was it that? Or was it the other freaking thing that we don't want to talk about at the moment? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially now that we know there's Native American stuff.
And there's some reports of Dogman along the Shenandoah Valley. So, Shenandoah Valley is part of Virginia.
Yeah. Which we kind of got, I wouldn't say annoyed, but, I wish we could have gone back in time and, like, kept the footage or, the voice recorder at least.
He lost it. I mean, he forever kept the recording on it, but can't find the actual device. So it was one of the old timey ones. It was still good. It was like $50 at the time. Granted, we're talking about 2008, 2009. He used the mini cassettes. So
yeah, I can't remember exactly which one it was. I mean, I was more worried about what we went through.
Yeah.
But it's hearing dogs sounds or like the ripping apart or whatever. It gave me a flashback of that night, and I was just kind of like, what the hell are we going to experience? Especially with like the eclipse being out. I didn't know what kind of energy we were going to run into.
I mean, I could tell you I was expecting more, to be honest with you, because of the eclipse.
Yeah, well, I mean, we went out there. I think it was the night before the eclipse. We just knew that within a couple of days around it, the energy was going to ramp up. Of course, it was during the day, so wouldn't have made sense to ghost hunt at that point or whatever. So
it was the night before, to be honest with you.
Yeah, probably would have amped up more if it was at a different time. But we knew within the day before, day after the eclipse, stuff was going to ramp up, so we took advantage of doing it the day before. Excuse me. Of course, it was past AM, so it was the day of technically.
Technically, yeah, after 12 a.m. Yeah.
But yeah, no.
That was another thing. It wasn't like a super dark night. It was actually like a clear sky. The moon was really bright, so there was portions of the park where you could like just be able to see by the moon.
Yeah.
So.
But I think, again, going back to the purgatory answer, because I feel like I trailed off. But anyway, hearing
you keep
that,
saying your last name, like that's crazy.
But purgatory was it was the first time hearing it come from the spirit box. We didn't even ask about it.
No.
The fact that it just said it.
I want to say we asked a completely different question.
We just asked, do you know where you're at?
It was like, do you know where you're at? Do you know who you are?
Yeah, something like
and
that.
It's like,
or do you know you're dead?
Purgatory.
Yeah, and like that, like my dad, just like your dad, they're both heavy Christians still. And, they still feel the same way. Purgatory doesn't exist. But there are people, if you talk to them, that, hey, purgatory might just be Earth.
Yeah, Earth itself,
so, for us, it's like, what the hell was that? And
why blurt that out? Why it doesn't match the questions?
Yeah, and then we also, for the first time, got an Irish lady's accent, which is really cool. I can't remember exactly what was said. I don't think I ever got to like audibly hear it. It was kind of like, mush mush. But, we heard the Irish accent come out, and I thought that was kind of cool. We heard like a word or two, but the whole sentence we couldn't really like pick out. Which, back in the day, you had Irish immigrants and stuff like that. So, that could have been something. But we asked her questions, kind of went from there. I remember walking back to the equipment. The REM pod was going off. Now, we filmed for, I want to say about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that, while we were away. So the REM pod We did have active evidence as far as like it actually legit working. So again,
Yeah, because the way that it worked too.
it didn't go off at all for a little bit,
And then it turned on.
When the footsteps approached, that's when it kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of going off, going on, going off, going on.
Which
and then,
it's supposed to show you there's movement. Something was walking back and forth by the antenna.
But I also stupidly put it by the fence.
Well,
So
I'll get into that with you.
So yeah, so putting it by the fence, you have temperature changing. You have the metal near it as interference.
Yes.
You also have the other equipment by it, which also is interference.
Yes.
So hearing it go off after the footsteps, I knew that was real because of how it was doing it. Afterwards, it was like 35 out of 40 minutes of just, hey. So I didn't really get to like go back and go through all the voice recordings and stuff.
Right.
And I tried to listen to it, but I've got really horrible ADHD and I have horrible sound issues. So it's like if I hear something high pitched squealing and screaming like that, yeah, I give you about a minute and I want to snap someone's neck off. So I had to like stop doing it. So I don't know what else could have came up through there. But the good like 5-10 minutes of us going through there, we got a voice asking us to come back. We got all the animalistic sounds. I got the footsteps walking up to it. And then in the midst of it all, we got a hey as well, which is weird. So, we were just, stating to the voice recorder, like, hey, Kristen and Greg walking off. So I knew the timestamp to edit. And the voice comes out and says, come back.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's cool. And we did capture the bobcat. And again, like hearing the footsteps walk up, woods gets active, animals are going off. You're hearing a dog bark. You're hearing what seems like a screech and a scream.
Mm-hmm.
Then you hear an owl hooting in different areas. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't even like one.
And that happens a couple times on the video too. So.
And then right in the midst of it, you hear a hey, just like that. So it's like the thing that made the footsteps. Was that the thing that said hey? Was it something trying to get our attention? Was it something trying to talk to us? Was that the thing making the REM pod go off?
Right.
So I was a little annoyed that I put the REM pod there. But at the same time, I was happy that it gave us proof of after the footsteps, it went off. Because you could hear it audibly go up to it, then it goes off. So I was like, okay, that tells me there's proof that something messed with it.
When we walked up closer to it, before we realized it was on, it was at one point was coming on and off, implying movement. We decided to walk all the way up to it. I would say if it was just the fence, because the fence is transferring energy, vibration, a temperature change, several things. It would have stayed on the entire time if it was just the fence. And yes, it's an EMF detector with tri-field built in. So yeah, it should pick up on RF and radio stations. But it was just the digital voice recorder putting off RF signals.
And remember, you got the body camera too. So microphone or whatever's in there.
Well, so the body camera would really be transferring the energy from its battery because it's a rechargeable battery.
Well, my also thing is like, anytime we've ever been by that tree or been by that fence, I've been touched, I've been scratched, I've been talked to, I've had things like literally try to whisper in my ear. Like, you can ask him. Anytime I'm over there, something messes with me. Yeah. And it annoys the hell out of me because it's like...
On the side that it was sitting on, too, is where I took those photos from the last visit, where in the weird rungs of where the roots of the tree come up out of the ground.
Rungs, that's a good word right there.
Was like weird pieces of symbols someone was trying to put together, or they were messing with something. So, because the opening, kind of like an oval U shape like this, someone had took twigs and made it look like there was a fence and a perfect circle around it.
Some weird symbols.
And made the jack from the game. What's that? Crosses and jacks, or I forget it. Jumping jacks, the little game with the ball and the jack.
Yeah.
Someone made that out of twigs and put it inside.
Was it just jacks?
Yeah. And then they made a fence of the twigs around that and put that in the middle. So you'd have to break through the fence of twigs to get to the jack. Yeah, they made that,
and they made another weird symbol. I wish I would have took a picture of it because it was like a couple years back. But yeah, it was kind of weird looking at that. But anyway, We definitely captured a lot more audible stuff this time. Of course, first time we went, the camera we had was the very first camera we bought before all this. So it was kind of low key,
Poopy.
low budget camera. Yeah, if you want to put it that way, poopy. You know, the camera.
Cheesecloth.
Yeah, the camera we have now is way better, and so I feel like that might have helped out some. But I feel like it was fun going there and checking things out. I wish we could have spent more time. And you know, there's definitely people we want to bring there next time too, to kind of, you know, go there and
see someone else's experiences. What
hopefully
they
with new
receive.
stuff, maybe we bring out, you know, new experiences with new people type thing. But I had a good time. And like I said, the Eclipse was a cool idea to do that. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was kind of our experiences. The woods felt alive, more audible voices, more answers,
Right.
more answers we didn't want to hear as well. You know, the trigger warning thing, it's sad when you get evidence like that, in my opinion. But also it's like, it's good you get the evidence, but it's also kind of like, I wish I didn't.
Right. You're kind of like, oh, really that?
You know what I mean?
Dang.
Like, you could have said cinnamon buns. Like, I'd have been happier with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, yeah.
I like the guy obsessed with sweet rolls in Oblivion,
Yeah.
where he's like, sweet rolls. Do you have any sweet rolls?
If Cicero pops up from Skyrim, I'm...
Oh, yeah.
Then I like
But,
mother.
yeah. Shout out to anybody who plays Elder Scrolls. But,
super Elder Scrolls nerds here.
yeah, definitely. And I'm excited for Elder Scrolls 6.
And Fallout 5.
And I heard they might push the date up.
Well, because of Fallout 5.
Yeah. So, Todd Howard's like, I'm retiring. I'm like,
And they're adjusting, so they're adjusting the developers from all the 3 main software companies too. So it's like they're making the moves for the money for it. Is what it looks like now.
Bethesda and ZeniMax. Hopefully, you guys make not only just more Fallout TV show, which I heard they're doing season 2
Second
and 3,
season, yeah.
but let's bring out an Elder Scrolls series.
That'd be nice. I mean,
I would.
you know, everyone's in the medieval
love
stuff.
it.
You know, Game of Thrones is medieval. That's doing well.
I'm more Renaissance and medieval than I am sci-fi. So I could sit down with freaking Oblivion or Skyrim and play 100 hours straight and be fine. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I like Starfield,
yeah.
and my frozen state just then was like me thinking of the hours I was playing in Starfield, and it does not compare to the Fallouts and the Elder Scrolls.
It's definitely a different world.
And you
It's
can't
different
really
beast, too.
count Fallout as sci-fi only because you could play the whole game with handmade weapons in it. And sometimes you don't have to have an actual like ammo using weapon. You can have melee, and the melee can look like the sword in Skyrim,
Yeah.
especially if it's a handmade one.
Well, let's maybe not dive too much into it because we will be here for hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but anyway, we just kind of wanted to go more in depth about our video that we shot for Midlothian Coalmines and during the Eclipse. You know, we like doing that for our podcast, kind of go more in depth for what we shot. So that way, you know, we have people ask us questions or whatever, you know, we can put it out there. And, you know, I mark it down in the books as a successful time that we had.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to, you know, the next adventure that we go on to. You know, I will say before we shut the video off, you know, sorry, we kind of took time away. We're trying to get things back and get into a groove of things again. So we have some things planned in the works that we're going to be working on. I still have footage I got to go over and do some stuff with. So be patient with us. Again, we appreciate all the support that you guys have, and our Facebook's growing a little bit, and our YouTube's growing a little bit. So always, please you know, make sure you subscribe, comment to the channels, the videos.
Yeah, definitely do the
will-
commenting part.
It will help us grow. It also will help us learn what you guys want, what to put in the videos and stuff. Of course, you know, we want to do it in our vision. It just helps to hear what other people, you know,
The input
kinda
helps.
think,
The
yeah.
input helps.
so,
So like on this video, like, you know, in the comments, say something like, you know, do you want us to see, you want to see us come back here? What experiments do you want us to see, like, doing in the video?
or if you heard something we didn't hear.
Yeah,
or see
did
something,
you
'cause that
see
happens.
something in there that we missed? Is there a place you want to see us go next? Do you want us to see us go back to a previous place from some of the other videos? Let us know.
Yeah. But no, anyway, we appreciate the support, appreciate the love. We're hoping to come back and bring way more content to you guys, more on a routine. As everything, sometimes you got to step away in life. We had to a little bit, but we're trying to bring it back. So, enjoyed being out there with you, and I'm glad we were able to get this podcast episode out as well. And we will see you guys on the next one. Hope you guys have a good time.